hear us okay, Gordon? G'day. Calling, Earth calling Gordon. All right.
Yeah.
The Mayor has arrived. The Mayor is in the building.
Chairperson, over to you.
Morning and welcome, everybody.
Morning.
Apparently we're having a meeting. I'd like to find an agenda.
Yes, a minute.
Yes. The computer's
First, you need to note the apology.
Yeah, so we have two apologies. One from Councillor Manderson and one from Councillor Naya. Have a mover for accepting the.
Yep, I'll move.
Seconder.
Second.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. We have a motion to confirm the agenda.
I'll move.
Second.
All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. Conflict of declaration. Do we have any conflicts of interest? Yes, thank you.
I'm an owner of the Western Energy Council. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not. No conflict to declare.
Okay, no conflicts to declare. Calculation of the minutes of the 21st June meeting.
21st of June.
We need
2023.
last meeting.
Oh, we're regular.
Okay, has anyone got any comment on the previous minutes?
No.
Okay, we're going to move to confirm the open minutes of the meeting held on the 21st of June 2023 as a true and accurate record. Have a seconder, please.
Yep.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Now we move to our first item here, the endorsement of the development strategy, June 2024. And I think we'll just go to Paul first to present to us. Have you with that?
Absolutely.
Right, thank you. The floor.
Take it that all members have read the development strategy draft.
Yep, I have.
Yes, basically we've developed an economic development strategy to enhance the economic and embed the economic development process within council. So I've prepared the draft strategy there, which talks about the economic summary, and that's been endorsed by the chief exec to develop that draft economic development strategy. The recommendation is that it's endorsed by the Economic Development Committee, and I'm looking forward to feedback, so I can get that adopted by council in June, hopefully. The context for the economic development strategy is that it's been developed to address a lack of such a strategy and activities in the district. This is particularly important as the region undergoes demographic shifts and adapts to economic and environmental influences. The discussion that will emanate from the presentation of the strategy hopefully will be recognised today. And the KIPRA stands at a crucial juncture, requiring economic development planning to navigate the global challenges like the COVID-19 epidemic and recent weather events with Cyclone Gabriel, etc. And the general downturn in the economy. We've had recession commentary from economic development people in the last three quarters of the last 4 years, four quarters. So this strategy outlines key objectives, defining a long-term vision, building a distinctive identity, community resilience, optimising land use, enhancing skills and capabilities, creating economic development, attractive destinations, and investing in critical infrastructure and amenities. So we've involved a lot of stakeholders on the way while we've been developing the strategy. So Kuiper residents and ratepayers, local authorities, North and Dink in particular have been instrumental in developing this strategy up to date. We've been having economic development conversations with Northern Regional Council and Whangarei District and the Far North District Council as well. We've included conversations with iwi as to how their economic development strategies align with ours, and those conversations have been ongoing and will be ongoing as we proceed.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Paul, thanks. Can we ask what has been the response from iwi thus far?
Yeah, it's been met with favourable response. I have no issues with them. I've dealt with Mana Whenua. I've had preliminary conversations with all three of the main iwi, and that has been well received, and they're looking forward to working with us in the future.
Good. Cool. Fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you.
The options for this is that the endorse the draft economic development strategy for stakeholder engagement and feedback. I see this document as a document that will be evolving in its use, and I look forward to a review of this policy as we go forward. The strategy is a strategy. We haven't had anything in place in the previous years, so we've developed the strategy insofar as it's developed my working actions as I go forward, and that will be the form the basis of my continued employment with the Kuiper District Council. So the advantage of the option one is to provide an immediate and clear strategic direction for economic development, stakeholder confidence. We've been meeting with a whole variety of stakeholders from brethren to iwi and business leaders and councils and any other stakeholder that comes to light, potentially enhancing trust and cooperation. So proactive planning facilitates proactive planning and investment, positioning the district to tackle economic challenges head on. So as I've been going through this whole process, it's clear that we need the cooperation of as many strategic stakeholders as possible. Disadvantages, rigidity, the strategy may require adjustments as new information and circumstances arise, so that's why I talked about having an evolving strategy as we go forward. So option one is the recommended option. Option two, that we don't endorse, provide feedback and further request further work on the strategy. Refinements ensures a more refined and comprehensive strategy that addresses specific concerns and areas for improvement. Increased buy-in, I think it's the conversations that I'm having and other elected members are having, so that we get buy-in, enhanced engagement and revision processes can increase stakeholder buy-in and support, fostering a sense of ownership and commitment. Disadvantages, delays, implementation of the strategy will be delayed, potentially missing critical opportunities for immediate action. Resource intensive, there's only me. It's me who's driving the economic development strategy, and there's only so many hours in a day, and I'm part-time at the moment, and I see that as perhaps a speed bump as we go forward. But we have now got clear definition of my duties and actions going forward. Impacts of Maori. We've been liaising with Maori, as I've mentioned. The cultural sensitivities of economic development will be front of mind. Environmental issues. The strategy will increase employment opportunities, support Maori businesses, preserve cultural identity, and give access to education and training, infrastructure and investment. While it's not currently significant in engagement, while it's not currently classed as significant under the significance in engagement policy, it's important to seek feedback from stakeholders, which may include the public. Therefore, consultation going forward is required. The next steps, upon endorsement of the draft strategy, staff will initiate stakeholder engagement to ensure timely incorporation of feedback into the finalised strategy. We'll which will then be presented to council for adoption. That's my report.
Go for it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just on that significance and engagement, and just, I guess, a point of clarity. Your last 6 words, therefore consultation going forward is required. Is it not more likely to be maybe required? I mean, it might sound pedantic, but it sounds very definite here. I mean, I think that I would be hoping that we would have a strategy that, you know, in taking the district forward,
Yeah,
you know, we would take along an awful lot of support and momentum from the community and ideas from the community. Look, it might be just a pedantic thing, just one word.
I just see that because we're starting from a blank sheet of paper, I see that engagement going forward in whatever guise it might be is really important to develop. You know, I don't think the strategy will be finalised. It will be reviewed. You know, whether it's, we say, agree on a date in time, whether it's a year from now, and the strategy is reviewed. For instance, the strategy at the moment exists just as a basic Word document. I find my findings in there. It will be designed and developed as we go forward. And I just think it's imperative that we do have continued conversations with as many stakeholders as possible so that we can shape this. As I was going through the whole strategy process, there's a lot of questions that were unanswered. I think those need to be answered as we go forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think that all of that will come to life when we see some specific
Yes.
direction via projects.
Yeah, so if you go to the actions components of the strategy, if you look at the enablers within that, it's a very broad list of actions that are required to make things happen. And I think as a result of those conversations, through enabling those actions, I think work streams will pop up that we didn't expect.
Yeah. If I may, another question, and this is, I think that the sense that I've got about the strategy, Paul, is overall great. You know, it's where we're wanting to head, but I'm not sensing that it is hyper first. We've got all sorts of engagements with other councils, regional councils and things like that, rather than focusing on exactly what we do.
Yeah, I understand that, and I think that's when we go onto the investment tourism website conversation shortly. I think what I've highlighted there is that we are Northland. We are part of Northland. Yes, there is the Kaipara focus, but I think anything economic development, tourism, through hiking trails, through to whatever it might be, I think it's critical that we complement Northland and Whangarei. So those conversations, and it's been quite difficult to promote Kaipara on its own, but I've endeavoured to do that because that's the region that we represent. And I think that, you know, having for instance, the East versus West conundrum, the stuff that we've done insofar as the investment and website, we've overcome that by talking about Kaipara in its entirety. And so the East versus West conversation isn't taking place. But we have, you know, we're geographically challenged. Whoever drew the borders years ago, there's no logic to the way we are on the West Coast as we are on the East Coast. The majority ends up on the West Coast. And so it's key that we talk about. And when we come onto the Kaipara website components, you'll see that we have endeavoured to be inclusive of the whole of Northland. Bearing in mind, Kaipara is Kaipara, and that's who we represent.
Yeah, I guess my point is, and I'm pretty strong on this because I've done this in various guises for 15 or 16 years, but actually Northland needs Kaipara.
Absolutely.
Because we're the gateway.
We are the gateway.
But our business does not come from Northland. Our business comes from south. And that's why, you know, I just had this sense that we've got a lot of reliance on Whangarei District Council and other councils. And I wonder, it's not a criticism, it's just a sense that stuff it.
Yeah.
We're taking it, we're the benefit, we're the gateway for Northland. And we should be very proud about that in how we go about planning.
Yeah.
And that's part of our pitch.
Yeah, that's part of our identity.
Yeah,
So I'll go on to touch on those points later on, if that's okay.
okay, that's cool, that's cool. Sorry, I don't mean to
No,
jump ahead, but
it's key, I think, you know, I've talked to Jason before, Jason before about the report that came out in, or the commentary around Statistics New Zealand and the growth experienced by Kaipara, particularly in South Kaipara. You know, 13.2% growth in the last 4 years, as opposed to Whangarei, which is 8.2%, I think it was. And that is key to recognise the fact that all our growth comes from the south.
absolutely.
Well, I'm with the chair. And, with the website development, it's not just a focus on tourism, is it?
No, that's all.
Cool.
Just to come back to sort of where Mike's sort of heading with this, I mean, when we get to, you know, the 5 strategies that you've got identified in the, I mean, I think that's sort of, in some respects, an attempt to crystallise some key actions that we can take now.
Yeah.
And we have sort of talked about that before. Let's pick things we can do and get some runs on board. And I mean, I think, you know, Mike's done a great job of pushing the Northern golf tourism thing. We sort of probably still got a little bit of work to do there, but it's a great body of work. And then, you know, one of the other things that Mike's been advocating for is we need to get this Kaihu Valley Trail, try and help that get going from a tourism perspective, because it's so important for Dargaville. And I mean, when you think about Dargaville as well in relation to that trail, when we had that meeting the other day in the seed about accommodation for Dargaville, and you know, Gordon made a very good on that there is land, there are good suitable the land there that we could be looking at enabling that through, you know, rezoning and front footing some of this, so we actually put something in place that will work. Did you want to chip in there, Gordon? Or?
Yeah, I will do, because just a little, the front page of the Advocate today come out with those results from the 13.2% for Kaipara and only 6.3% for Whangarei. Yeah, and I've got to emphasise that your growth and the growth in Mangawhai has been astronomical, and that has been driven from Auckland. But Dargaville chugs on and it just grows stuff. We've had an exceptionally good Kurma crop this year, and they've almost recovered back to where they were, a lot of them. So that's good news. On the subject of the hotel, well, I think thinking about it more and more, there's some derelict houses, the older houses, which are substandard, bordering on the commercial zone of Dargaville up beside the warehouse. But the big revelation is that the Brethren Church is sold and they're building a new one further out of town. And the Baptist Church has brought the Brethren Church, and the Baptist Church area will be vacant, which is a large lot up on the rise of Selwyn Park. So I'm going to start pursuing that a little bit more and find out where it is. But I think with our district plan review, we can have a good look at zoning all that up there, changing it all to commercial, because it's obvious that the residential units are going to there, and commercial and industrial are soon wanting to be followed.
Yeah, thanks, Gordon. And that's a good location, which is right on the doorstep of town, eh?
Yeah, they can walk down to the supermarket. You can see it as you drive over the bridge. You've got views to the south and west and east of the river. It's elevated out of the flood zone.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to sort of cut through the middle of your presentation, Paul. I think there's a desire here to have a reasonably dynamic conversation, and you might find that you're coming to points that we're already talking about, but we'll get to them again, and it might develop the conversation anyway if we, I think that from a getting things going perspective, and I keep coming back to what Mike's saying, it's probably partly because of his experience in this area, is that, you know, getting our branding as Kaipara, as the gateway to Northland, I think there's some low-hanging fruit for us there in terms of physical signage at Kaiwaka, or even at Mangawhai and Kaiwaka as you come from either route, that maybe we can actually get that, some of that early physical branding in place and go, we're here. And then, you know, I've sort of struggled a little bit with how we go about saying, hey, come here, this is the place to be, and why, until we get some of our more enabling sort of, you know, district plan ideas in place. But actually, you know, it occurs to me that relative to Auckland Council, our district plan, even as it stands now, is relatively enabling. So we can actually possibly start now, rather than waiting 3 years to go, oh, we've got some good provisions. We could actually start going, hey, come to Kaipara, here's why, come and work with us to live here and to bring your business here, because not only is our existing district plan enabling, but we've got a proposed plan that's, you know, going to make things even better. And we've got a culture in our council where, you know, our chief executive is saying, come and work, come to us, we will help you get set up here. So in terms of the 5 strategies that we've got here, I just wonder whether there is almost a 6th one in terms of that direct push to attract.
I think what you find is the investment tourism website will address most of those issues.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so the investment tourism website is the conduit to put that out there.
It is.
And actually, so it becomes more than just, it's an investment in tourism website as a strategy. It's actually got that vision embedded in it.
Well, I mean, to me, if I may, Mr. Chair, is that having had the privilege of going through all the LTP submission, one word that I associate with Dartmoor now coming out of that, and there will be others, but the key one was tourism. That is the low picking fruit from, for Dartmoor and for that area. And, you know, I mean, I'd be an enthusiastic supporter of everything we can do. So, I mean, I talk about how the LTP lifted the ceiling in terms of vision, and all sorts of things dropped out of it. And that was one of my takings anyway. But, you know,
I'll be talking about that tomorrow when I open the Potu Wharf, is the fact that that's the creation of something that's going to be a link to all that biking and stuff, and it's going to give us, you know, like for low impact, it's going to give us high value.
I think if you look at the initiative around Ocean Flyer, that's secured $145 million worth of funding, transport investor.
Yep.
And I think you'll see growth, just sprinklings of growth around the economic development sort of tourism strategy based on simple things like that, really. And the wharves is a key part of that.
Yeah.
and look, and I think that, you know, without harping on about the tourism thing, the way I see it now is that we've talked for years about getting people to turn left at Auckland Airport and to head north and things like that. But for a long time, the only reason to head north was the Bay of Islands. You know, that was it.
That was the only place that was promoted, that's.
Yeah, that's right, you know, and I mean, you know, it is only in the last 10 years, our dearly beloved, I think, was promoting Mangawhai as part of Whangarei and environs, or part of the Tutakaka coast. I mean, I still have bitter memories of that, so I keep raising it. So we have not had the ability to have an identity. And I just want to encourage you to be really proud about the focus on Kaipara and
Yeah,
you know, being a gateway is a huge opportunity as well as responsibility.
that's in the main thrust of our strategy around the investment tourism websites. So you'll see that come through, having clear identity, Kaipara-based identity, clear vision and mission.
I think, I mean, I agree with what Mike's saying. I also like the fact that the strategy goes out and covers everything completely.
Yeah.
Then we bring our focus back in, so we're.
There's a piece in the, I talk about a film policy.
Yes.
A film strategy. That's really me being sort of devil's advocate insofar as I'm trying to say we are a film destination without anything to back it up, apart from our naturals. You know, we haven't got a film policy within council, but if we did get a bite, we'd soon have a film policy.
Yeah.
And I see that as I'd rather go out there and try and get the customers and then deal with how we're going to service them or come up with whatever they need. Accommodation is a big part of that. So the tourism side, the hotels, which we've had conversations about.
Can I just through you, Mr. Chair, if I could? So, you know, for example, there was Audi filmed their recent ad out at Kaiwi Lakes as an example of that. I mean, that's just a start, right? You could.
Who did that?
Audi.
Oh, Audi.
And they filmed it out there. So, you know, what Paul's actually talking about is more broadly, you know, filming locations and all that sort of stuff. But there is evidence in the district of companies taking advantage of our beautiful locales in that space.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing with that is they didn't pay us anything, but Jason's got a R8 in his garage somewhere.
Brings money to the district.
Well, there are others. I mean, even though it's not our district, there's been 2 or 3 other ads that have featured TRI Point and things like that recently. So, you know, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's great. It's not something that I'd considered, but, you know, it is a draw card.
Need to go to the Bay of Islands to get a great film location.
Well, things to look at. I mean, we've got that amazing wild west coast, which has got multiple components to it. But then, you know, think of what's happening down here as well with this amazing golf course developments. And there's something to look at too, aren't they?
Yep.
You go ahead, Gordon.
Yeah, just a couple of things. There's a show on Sunday nights at 7:30. It's the British guy coming out, and one of the Tiara houses is
Yep.
John Irving is constantly winning. I think he's won twice now, architectural the House of the Year awards, and they're both in the Kaipara.
Wow.
We're not promoting that. We should be, you know. Yeah.
Unfortunately, TRI is not quite in the Kaipara
Right now.
but we can work hard to change boundaries.
Yeah, but John Irving's
Harry doesn't want it, we'll do a boundary change, huh?
Yeah, no,
yeah, but John Irving's houses they're up north of the heads there, and they are winning the awards every year. He wins it.
Hey, thanks, Paul. We better let you get on with what you want to say.
Yeah, that's, I think what's no illusion, the size of the role that I've got. And all I would say to put that into context is we're certainly much further forward today than we were yesterday. And that's been the case since I've been in post. And so trying to embed the council, the economic development function within Kaipara, this document is the first cab off the rank to encapsulate and promote the region. So that complementary to the economic development sort of investment website, there's quite a powerful proposition there to go forward.
Great. So in terms of your PowerPoint presentation, is that what we're going to be looking at
Yes.
in the workshop or in this meeting?
in this meeting.
in this meeting, okay.
Sorry.
No.
Will follow at the
The
briefing.
briefing, yeah.
Briefing?
It was the meeting and then after you.
Got a recommendation, as part of it. And we'll pass that, assuming that you want to pass that, and then the meeting closes because it's a decision, and then you move into the briefing where you've got two items.
Yeah, so, I mean, let's just test the, comfort of the members with the recommendation. Does anyone, you there, Gordon, did you want to ask something?
Yeah, I just want to just make a little statement for Paul there. Your success is our success, and however we can help you, Paul, to be successful, please feel open there. Don't feel as though it's a test on you. We're here as a team to support you, and if you look good, we look good. That's just my view on it.
Yeah, I think when I had a meeting this morning with CEO Marius about engagement with elected members, I've been a little bit shy of doing that in the last couple of months. I've been head down, bum up, trying to get the economic development strategy done. I need to develop those conversations a little bit better going forward. I'm restless about it, so I need to do that.
That's good. So there is a recommendation there, but let's just have a look at it and see what people think of it, because at part B, it's delegating to the chairperson the finalisation. I don't know whether people are comfortable with that or not. Could we just sort of talk through the intention with that? Like, we've got a strategy here. There's further stakeholder engagement feedback. Well, what would that be and when's that happening?
That's continuous.
So when would be the intention that the strategy was to come to council for adoption?
There's a couple of elements with standards. There's the timelines, page, which I'll probably delete. It's brief there. Any real rationale for that, and also there's just one piece there where I've put in future considerations where I talk about waste to energy plants. Craig and I have not had that conversation really in depth. That's the only addition that I'd like to make to the economic development strategy before it's adopted.
So, I mean, just because you're sort of wanting to transact something today, but we're not sort of at a final stage, could we work that in that once you've got that final version, we recirculate it and get comment from all members of the working party or the committee and sort of agree a final, what's the best way to do that? I don't mind having the delegation, but I'm not going to act on that delegation unilaterally. I would only use it to consolidate a consensus position.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I tend to agree. I think, Paul, we all feel a sense of urgency, and that might be a heavy burden on your shoulders, but you know, we won't make it that way. But the urgency is to get something done and get things happen. So I think that, I mean, what you've done is a great job in going and pulling everything together. What we've got to do is use the framework now, agree it, get on with it, and then focus down, and hopefully we'll talk today about some key elements that is not putting everything else aside, but is getting on with it. Now, I don't know, you know, that might be just me rushing too much, but you know, I think that out of the great work you've done, we've all got a sense of all the elements that you've covered.
Yeah, I think to put that into context, that I initially took this role as a 12-month role. Yeah. And so I've tried to encompass everything within those 12 months, ticking boxes as we go through, and I'll outline that in the briefing paper shortly.
Yep. So just, I know Jason's wanting to jump in, but just with regard to what Mike's saying there, maybe what we do is we progress the adoption of the strategy, get it through the whole of council, and at the same time start thinking about and working up, you know, a set of 5 key actions that we want to start implementing operationally, and then we can bring that to council as a recommendation that, you know, they've seen the strategy, it's been adopted, And now we're coming, here's our 5 key things, and what they might be, we need to look at. But, you know, one of those things might be, as I was alluding to before, how do we get this physical signage up that put a stamp on the state highways, you know? And we might find 3 or 4 other things that we recommend to council, let's do this, and then find ways of making it happen.
So I think just to context as well, is that we've come up with the brand identity, the investment. That would be the Kuiper brand.
Yes.
In complete separation to KDC's imagery and brand.
Yes.
And we've all agreed on that visual presentation going forward, and signage will be part of that.
Cool. Cool. I was exactly, the point that I was going to raise is that going back to a first thing is you mentioned it somewhere about the brand identity. So I was going to ask, you know.
And it's based on a lot of hearsay, it's based on a lot of qualitative and quantitative sort of research. The amount of people that we've spoken to, bearing in mind that we've been working on the smell of an oily rag to get this done, and I feel like we've got significant push through on what we've come up with for the 15 grand we spent or about to spend. Which is, you'll know that's nothing.
Yeah.
So we've had our pound of flesh and we've used it to the max.
Yep.
I think that Jason's probably just wanting to come in now and talk to us about process and how we take this forward and do it in an orderly fashion.
Yeah, please. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we're really mindful of your push as far as timing goes, right? I am also mindful when Paul sent this out to you all, it was at a busy time. And so he didn't get any feedback, and that's fine. So the reason why it's coming to you first is obviously because we've got a committee set up with the delegation to look at this. It's important that you guys have oversight of the draft in the first instance. But also you'll know from a few meetings that we've all been part of recently with stakeholders that we promised to go out to the stakeholders with the draft and get their feedback, right? So that will take some time, Councillor Howard. I mean, that is an important step though. So we get a richer strategy that's, as you say, owned a bit more by everybody in the community. So that's kind of the next steps if you agree with this today. I'm ambivalent about whether or not you delegate it to the chairperson or we bring it back to an extraordinary meeting or whatever. But what I would request is that we do get some feedback from you once we've talked to our stakeholders and bring it back to.
Yes.
Yep, however that suits.
Well, so in terms of transacting this today, how do the members feel about the recommendation? Are you happy for us to go ahead with that, or are you thinking that needs to be changed? Or Jason, are you happy to proceed on this basis that you've?
It's up to the meeting, but I'm happy with the recommendation as it is, but I'm happy for you to change it as well. It depends on your comfort with the chair having and you've obviously heard from the chair and what he would plan to do. So we'd go out there and get feedback after stakeholders to the committee, come back to the chair to.
Yeah, so we get that feedback. It comes to all of us. All of us have a final say on everything, agree a position, finalise, and then take it to council.
Yep. Yeah. And that can be done within that recommendation there, as it stands.
Okay, well, I'm happy with that. Are you happy with that? Okay, well, I'll move
I'll second.
motion. Seconded councillor Howard. So, Paul, I just want to thank you for the work that you've done on this strategy. I think it's outstanding. Not that much time that has actually gone by since Mayor Jepson put up the idea of having an economic development committee. I guess we're October 2022, was it? It is a little while, but it was something that we didn't have in place at all. And what's been the result of that? We said we wanted to employ a economic development lead ultimately. When we went through a process of going, well, actually, we want a higher level person, and actually, that's where we've landed. And I'm really glad that we've got you on the team, and I think you've made great progress. And I think we're just looking forward to finalising this strategy and then socialising it with the whole council.
Yep.
And then once we've got that over the line, picking those key, some key priorities that we can action and getting some runs on the board whilst we're still here. Because we've only got a bit over 18 months to run or something.
Not like that, 16, 14.
14, yeah.
So, Mr Chair, may I ask, is that, so we've agreed
So
in action?
sorry, so where we're at the moment is we're just making statements on this motion that's been moved and seconded. Did you want to ask a point of clarification or process?
Yeah, just, if we agree that, are we able to then have an engaging discussion with Paul on specific points, or should we do it?
Well, I think that if Paul and Jason are happy with it, we could just have an informal conversation about anything. It doesn't need to be formally transacted. I mean, it's an open conversation. The strategy is an evolving document.
So
We did briefing.
Yeah, and you can have that conversation in the briefing that follows this meeting if you want.
yeah, I mean, I've got a number of queries, but I just don't want to hold up this part of the meeting.
Well, no, that's fine. Well, let's do it in the briefing.
Yep.
As the seconder of the motion, would you like to speak now?
Well, yeah, I'll happily speak and say, probably affirm what we've already said, Paul. It's just fantastic to have this and
You're trying to get some attention.
it's a big document, to pull it all together and
All to leave the presenters table, we're doing statements, is that right? Oh, yes.
I'd say, I mean, one normally addresses the chair, but I think because Paul is the centre of attention here, we're really
yeah.
gonna,
So, yeah, so I think that, I mean, I hope you're getting that there's an awful lot of enthusiasm
Yeah,
and there's an awful lot of aspiration from council members to do this. And, I personally, and I've already expressed it, I'm every week I get more and more enthusiastic about our position as a gateway. And I think that really gives us extra strength. And I think that in a lot of ways you captured that and you've sensed that and see that. So I just can't wait to be part of helping to drive this forward. Thank you for your work.
as I said previously,
And thank you, C. Maris, for creating and allowing the opportunity to be created.
yeah, we've made significant inroads into developing the economic developments role within council. And as I'll allude to briefing shortly.
all right, does anyone else want to speak? Mayor Jepson, away.
Yeah, look, I just want to say that creating the lead was a smart choice by our council. Tell you one of the big advantages it's given us. It's been a really good thing to break down the thinking in the Dargaville area that they don't get attention, because Paul socialising in that district about what we want to do has been a really good thing, I think, for us. And it brings out the ideas of those communities about what they want. And already you can see some excitement in the district about, the council really wants to push our ideas that we bring forward to create businesses and economic activity. I think it's a good start. That we're going to get to, and I thank you for that.
Did you want to speak at all, Councillor Lambeth?
No, I've probably said what I've said before, just to pull to, how should I put it? You've got allies within the elected members, and I'm pretty sure you can work out who those are, but don't be shy. We're not here to criticise. When we do say you might have missed something, we're not being critical. It's just how can we help you, guide you there, if you know what I mean. And I think this is a as a great way forward, and it is an avenue which has been needed for a long time. So thank you.
Thanks, Gordon. Yeah, and so I mean, I think that I think part of the reason that we had this Kaikoura focus was because even though we were in the Northland Link realm, we weren't really getting a lot of attention, and we wanted to really be linked into that whole Northland network, but also really focus down here. And I think that what Mayor Jepson's, raised about Dargaville as well as, it's real. I think it is really starting to help us focus on how we can push things along there, because things are happening. The plan change up at Moonlight Heights, they'll move earth up there, and that's going to really help. Yeah, it's really going to help to get things going for Dargaville. I think with fresh new housing stock well up out of any flood zone, and the ideas that Gordon's got with his local knowledge there about a ideal accommodation site, and then getting this tourism photo and the Kaihu Valley Trail and all that sort of stuff has really got some good momentum putting all those things together. So thank you very much. If there's nothing further from anybody, I'll put the motion here to the vote. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carried. Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of our meeting program, so we will close the meeting now. Thank you. Any